Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Whew. I'm really happy, and I would like to include this into the intro. The weather is nice, everything is nice. Whew. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this episode, we are going to create this circular slider in React Native using React Native Reanimated. We are going to create the onScroll event using useAnimated scroll handler, and we are going to assign it to some x value, basically the offset of how much have you scrolled, based on which we are going to interpolate and determine what's the Y position of each individual item. And on top of that, we will decide what's the active item, based on which we are going to display this image in the background and change it over time and apply a really nice enter and exit animation, which stands for mount and unmount of the node. So without further ado, let's jump straight into VS Code and start building this awesome animation. Shall we? Alrighty guys, so we are in VS Code here. I've created the project using Expo and I have React Native Reanimated installed. So let's start by creating a new file called circular slider. So I'll say new file circular slider.tsx, create a file circular slider, save, go back to the app, and instead of this view, I'll just render circular slider. Great. Now also remove this flex center because we are not going to use it. Go back to the circular slider. I have prepared some data initially. So we have some images. Basically, it's a list of different images. We are going to use that and render a flat list. Listen to onScroll events, assign it to the offset x, based on which we are going to interpolate and animate the things, right? So let's start by defining this horizontal flat list. So inside here, the circular slider, before that, let's apply a flex one. So everything is going to take the entire space. And inside this, I'm going to have a flat list that's coming from React Native. I'll have the data images, key extractor, item, why not, item and index, okay, and we don't actually care about the index, so it's underscore, string by the index, okay, and then we are going to have a render item that's going to take the item and the index and is going to return carousel item, and I'm going to pass the image URI as item and the index as well. And now let's create this carousel item function. Carousel item is going to get the image URI and the index as image URI string, index number, and is going to return a view for now and an image. And this image should come from the React Native for now. I'll pass the source and some style. Width, it's item size. Height, it's again item size. Border radius of item size. Great. And hit save for now and define this item size. And the item size, I would like to make this based on the screen width. So first I would like to get the width from the dimensions, get screen. The item size is going to be width multiplied by 0.23. And also let's define some spacing. So const spacing, it's 12. Okay. And this item size, let's reload. We have some complaining. Yeah, flat list. Flat list should come from React Native. Okay. Hit reload. Okay, so we have this list that's currently vertical, so let's change that and make this horizontal. So I'll say horizontal is true, and I will show horizontal indicator to false. So I will not display the horizontal things. Okay, I'll give you some snippet here. So I'll do background color to the flat list, and you'll take that this is going to take the entire space basically. And personally, I don't like that, and I like to just stretch whatever the size it's inside it, right? And for that, I'll need to specify to the style. Flex grow is going to be easier. So this is going to take only the available space. I'll justify the content flex center. Okay, so I'll just modify this to be at the bottom. Pretty great. Let's remove the background color red for now because we don't need it, and let's do for now the onScroll event. So first I would like to have the scroll x use shared value. That's starting from 0, and then I'll have an onScroll event. That's basically a use animated scroll handler, and I'm going to use the shorthand notation, get directly the onScroll event, and assign the scroll value the content offset x. It's basically how much have you scrolled on the x-axis, right? So now we have the scroll x and on scroll, and we need to convert this flat list to be an animated flat list. So I'll import animated from React Native Reanimated, and down below here I'll specify, let's comment it scrolling. I'll do on scroll, it's equal to on scroll, okay? And then I'll also specify the scroll event throttle. And I've said this multiple times. If you'd like to get this event at 60 FPS, you need to divide 1000 by 60, okay? Which is roughly around 16 milliseconds. So that's why from time to time you see people maybe on YouTube, on different open source projects, or on Twitter, on whatever, they specify directly scroll event throttle to be 16. So now you know from where this 16 is coming. It's basically the division between 1000 and 60, right? So yeah, let's get that at 60 FPS. Nice. Cool. Hit save, nothing should happen now, but we are actually changing. We are definitely changing the scroll X. As you can see, this is starting from the left edge of the screen, and I like to start this from the middle of the screen, of course align it with the center of the screen. So in order to do so, we can go to the flat list, and below the style we can define a content container style and assign a padding horizontal on each side, basically left and right hand side, the width of the screen initially. So padding horizontal is going to be width divided by 2, basically half of the width. And now you'll see that the left edge of the image is going to be directly in the middle of the screen. So we would like to also compensate with the width of the item, right? So I'll say, it's actually width minus the item size, everything divided by 2. So in this way, we have the middle of the first item in the middle of the screen, and also the same applies for the last item. And I would also like to add a padding button, maybe of item size, why not? Because I just for now. Okay, so this is our list. And I would like to also add a gap in between the items. So in order to do so, we can go again to the content container style, add a gap of spacing. Boom. And now we have beautiful spacing in between the elements. The next thing that we can leverage from this flat list is the snap to interval, which is basically saying, hey, this is the interval that I would like you to snap. So basically when you scroll, after the momentum scroll end is going to snap into that interval. So I can go and I'll do snap to interval item size plus the spacing. And the reason why I'm adding the spacing is because we have a gap, basically an item is the item itself plus the spacing, right? So now if I'm stopping, it's going to snap into the middle of the item. And the deceleration rate, in order to break it or to add some friction and stop faster, you need to specify a different deceleration rate. So deceleration rate, I would like to make this fast. So now it's going to act like a carousel, and it's going to snap to this interval faster than it's going to normally do. Now, because we have this pretty much built-in carousel, now let's also apply different animations to this element. And we basically have the image, we have the index, which is really important, based on which we are going to animate, but we also need to specify the scroll x. And if I'm going to go here to the scroll event handler and do a console log scroll x value, you'll see that this is the number. It's a number between 0 and whatever is the length of this horizontal list. And I would like to make this in such a way that I'm going to get basically the float index or an index value. And in order to do so, I can go here to the scroll, and instead of content offset x, I will divide this by the item size. And the problem here is that now the item size, it's not taking into account the spacing. So we also need to compensate that by the spacing. So I'll do item total size. And if I go wherever we define the variable and do this, it's item size plus the spacing. And now we can also reuse this where we have the snap to interval. So now we are going to get a value index by index, pretty much, right? Now let's remove the console log. And since we are passing also the scroll x, let's also get that scrollX. So scrollX, this scrollX shared value as a number. And what we can do with it? Well, we can define some interpolations, and we are going to define styles as use animated style, and we are going to return a transform, and we are going to change the translateY. The translateY is going to change. If you are in the middle, basically you're the active item, you are going to have the Y value as 0. If you are the immediate neighbor, I would like to move it down with 1/3 of the item height or item size, and so on and so forth. So because interpolate, it's actually extend, is going to go beyond this interval that I'm going to specify as an input range, and it's going to do all the math for me and calculate all the other offsets, right? So I'm just defining a range, and the linear interpolation is going to do the math for others, okay? If I had to clamp it, it's not going to care about the outer, the beyond range, okay? But we care in this example. So interpolate is coming from React Native Reanimated, so we are going to interpolate the scrollX value. And remember that now we have index -1, index, and index +1. And what's going to happen? Well, I've said that I would like to push this on the y-axis a bit by 1/3 of the item size. So I'll say, it's item size divided by 3 is 0 if you're active, otherwise it's again item size divided by 3. And since this is going to have extrapolation extend, for the next item is going to be 2/3 of item size, and so on and so forth, right? So it's a simple math formula that's going to be applied over time to all indexes. Okay, great. Now, because we have this style, let's also apply this to the view. So we need to convert this view to be an animated view and apply a style as styles. Okay, and suddenly you see that like magic, everything is going to be aligned pretty much. So yeah, we have a really nice animation here. And one thing that I really like to do is whenever I'm playing with images, I like to stretch the image based on the parent or its own container. So in order to do so, I would like to change this width and height and apply it to the actual container. And on the image itself, I would like to add the flex 1. It's basically the same. Hit save, everything is going to be the same. This flex 1 is saying, hey, stretch the entire size of the parent. And now I would also like to add a border as an item size divided by 2. This is going to help us to define a border, because I would like to apply a border to the active one. If we go back to this style where we have the use animated style, we can define a border width of 4 to everyone. So each individual image is going to have a border, but I would like to make it transparent if you're not the active one. So in order to do so, we are going to reuse basically the same interpolation, the same input range, and we are going to interpolate the same scrollX, but we are going to have colors as output. Reanimated comes with interpolate colors, which it's basically the same as interpolate, but for colors. So let's style the border color. So border color, I'll interpolate the color that's coming from React Native Reanimated. I'll interpolate again the scrollX value. We are going to have the same index -1, index, and index +1, but the output range is going to be a color. So I'll say it's transparent. If it's active, I'll make this white, or otherwise it's transparent. And actually, to make everything be visible here, I'll make this red, So now you see, only if you're the active one, you have a border color. Again, the border is going to stay there, but it's transparent otherwise, And if we are going to change it, look, you see, you have this really nice interpolation, and we are applying a different color. Great. Now let's make this white, because we are going to use a white border. It's going to be visible because in the background we are going to render an image based on this active item. So now we need to have this image in the background visible to us. So let's do that now. And where we render this FlatList, as a sibling, I would like to have a view. And inside this view, I would like to have an image. And the image, I have a flex 1, and this time the source is going to be URI. I'll take the first image for now. And the view that contains this image is going to have a style sheet that's coming from React Native style sheet absolute fill object. Okay, so now we have this image in the background. Again, the image is stretching using Flex One. It's really powerful. It's a really powerful concept. Okay, so now we need to change this image. You know, when you are changing the carousel active item, we would like to change this image and also apply some animations. And to do so, we can create a state, and I'll say here state, it's active index, set active index, use state, and we are going to start from 0. And here, when we are scrolling and get the scroll event, we can actually calculate what's going to be the active item. So what I'm going to do here, I'll say, you know, the new active index is going to be the math round by the scroll value. And I'll say, you know, just in case the active index is different than the new active index, I would like to set state. Unfortunately, guys, this is going to crash the application because set active index, it's a method defined on the JavaScript side, you know, but here inside this on scroll event, we are on the native side or on the UI thread. So calling something from UI thread to the JavaScript thread, we need to take a great method provided by React Native Reanimated, which is called runOnJS. And this runOnJS is going to accept a parameter, which is a callback or a function. And the second one is the parameters that you like to pass to this method. In our case, is the new index. So now if I hit save and refresh, nothing is changing. Oh, well, because we are not defining here the image by 0, the first image, but we would like to have it by the active index. So now if I hit save, you'll see that boom, boom, boom. So this is changing, you see? Great, and now let's force re-render this node and apply some animations. And to force re-render is, you can say a different key. You know, this key is going to be the image by the active index. Again, this is going to be the same, but as you can see, this is going to be force unmounted and force mount a different node. And since we have this version, let's convert this into an animated image and apply an entering as fade in that's coming from React Native Reanimated, and we can specify a duration of, let's say, 500, and do the same for exiting. Exiting is going to be fade out from React Native Reanimated. Hit save, and now when we are going to change Rook, you see there is a small animation which is really nice, really nice. And I'll also like to change the background of the entire application to be black, so there's no basically like glitch behind it, you know. There is a small thing which we did initially. We have applied a padding bottom to this item size as an item size, but if I remove this, you'll see that now the container doesn't look that great because transforms are not changing the layout. So in order to properly display everything here, instead of padding bottom, we can define a height. So we can say, you know, the height of this flat list is going to be item size multiplied by 2, you know. So in this way, we know for sure that we are not going to display more than 2 heights as item size, you know. There is another small issue. So because we are on the iOS now, you can we have this bounces effect, you know, you can go beyond 0. So if I drag now, you'll see that look, it's like if I scroll faster, you see that it's trying to get an image with a -1 index, and there is no -1 index. And of course the same is on the left side. So what we can do is we can clamp from 0 to the image's length -1. When we define this scroll x value, we can do a clamp that's coming from React Native Reanimated. We can clamp this value, and we are going to say, you know, the minimum is 0 and the maximum is image's length -1. So now we know for sure that you cannot go beyond 0 or above the image's length -1. So we are going to fix this small tricky issue. Alrighty guys, that was it. I hope that you've learned something new. In case you have any questions, by the way, you can leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer all of them. It's like if you have any issues, it doesn't matter if it's related to this tutorial or other animation related or React Native in general. I will do my best to go through each individual comment and answer and give you my thoughts on it. If you like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Also press the ring bell icon to be notified whenever I post a new video or go live. Otherwise, thank you very much for staying with me so long, and see you in the future one. Bye bye, guys.